Okay. Orion's autism journey. I'm doing it right now, so people can watch on Instagram. Okay, I have some notes. Hello, everybody. Nobody is on autism journey. I have this whole folder, write it down, and things I've helped, stuff like that. In classes, things I want to do. I'm like a very note-taking kind of person. Afterbirth care, parenting, psychology of parenting, moms, child for life, prepare them, talks, how to climb, how to fall, how to clean. This is just some of the general stuff that I talk about. Uh, what did you learn? How did you learn to fall? How did you learn how to clean? How to eat? How to listen? How to love? 0 to 5 are like the essential years where you had to connect with your child, and you get to know their personality, know what they like, know what they don't like, what they like to watch, um, their temperament, their creative style, their sleep style, their sleep comfort, like the ways that people go to sleep in different like ways. The way that people are comfortable to sleep is different. The routine, sleep routine. How I like for me, I have a whole playlist on like Orion sleep time, and I would listen and sing the stories with him. It's like Itsy Bitsy Spider, things like that, little kid songs, and that's how we had like a sleep schedule. Take a bath. I put Epsom salts in his bath, and so this is all like the things that I'm saying that we kind of did throughout since he was like born. And at 1 is when I started realizing, oh, like something's a little off, something's different. Like, and it kind of started more on the like, oh, he's on the spectrum. And I already have like an AA, and so like, oh, this is something different. I'm the eldest of 3, and I'm doing Instagram right here. That's why I keep like looking back and forth. I had to watch a lot of the kids growing up. I had to watch like my siblings. I had to watch my cousins. I had to watch like a lot of babysitting going on, and so watching all these kids and then teaching them how to use a bicycle, how to roller skate, playing badminton. Like I'm a very like outdoorsy like person. So with Orion, I did the same thing. At 4 weeks we went hiking, and at that age, obviously you're not going to really like tell anything really, because autism is more something that you can tell when they're like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Autism in girls, I will say, is that it's harder to detect in girls because girls talk. And so because they're able to talk and boys don't talk, that's the biggest difference between like boys and girls. So technically I was reading how like girls are technically more autistic than boys. Um But because we talk, people can't tell. Like it's very, there's a lot of, there's say talk and stuff about like masking and like how we learn to kind of like hide it. And so why aren't you talking? You're 2, you're 3, you should be able to talk more than just like pointing and grunting, and like there's more outbursts, they get more upset. Like 2 to 3 parents usually start realizing, because it's harder to connect with them. And for example, like if you have like a pet, like the way they treat the pet as well matters. And for Orion, around like 10, 11, 12 months, I started noticing stuff, because like the TV was on too loud, like at his where it was really loud, because his grandparents, they be old, like they're old. So they're not hearing as much good as we, and they're not hearing as good as him, a newborn baby. So it was really loud, and he wouldn't stop crying, and he just kept crying, and like the TV was just like, soccer is very like go on, like a lot of screaming, a lot of chanting and stuff. And he was just like getting really worked up. And so I told his grandparents, like, I think the TV is like too loud. And they were like, no, it's fine. I was like, no, I think it's too loud. Like for the baby, it's too loud. So I grabbed the remote and I was like, I need you to turn the TV lower. And I kind of had to start like screaming, because it was so loud. Like I had to like talk over the TV. And then finally they lowered it down. And then literally like the moment they lowered it down, he stopped crying. Like literally, he stopped crying. So that showed me, his parent, that, oh, you know what, he's sensitive to noise and sound. And like that's kind of obvious, because when you're a baby, you had to think back, like, baby, you're new to the world. So, and it's very loud here. Like the city is really loud. And so for a lot of us, people who move to cities from smaller villages, or people who come from a place that's like more rural, and they come to like Los Angeles or big cities like Atlanta, New York, whatever, Washington, like there's a big difference. So like I feel like has a lot to do with it as well. And so with Orion, eventually I learned, like when we would go out, because that's the other thing too, like people, they don't like dealing with the meltdowns of their kids, so they don't go out. They try not to go out with their kids. And then there's other parents who are like, don't care, and the kids running around and destroying shit. So I just kept taking him out. We went hiking when he was like 4 weeks. Like we kept taking him out, because he needs to get used to it. You need to get used to the city life. You need to acclimate your baby to the city life, to the noises, to the sounds, to the I don't like the whole like throw your kid in the pool theory. What is it? Lifestyle, parenting lifestyle. I don't particularly believe in that either. It's like step by step kind of thing. So with everything that we've done in Orion's autism journey, we've had to do little by little, step by step. Like all the stuff I'm saying in this video is things that I had to learn little by little by talking to people, my neighbors, my clients, like people at the park, like literally anybody that would help me. Like my aunt, she's the only one in our family whose son is on the spectrum. So he's already like 22. So I looked to her as well. I went to her house a lot. Like I really went to my resources, which was like my family and my friends and my neighbors, to help me with this when he was like 2 and 3 and 4. And plus these people already had kids. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm able to ask them and things like that, because they've already been through it. Their kids were already 9, 10, what Orion's age is now. So that's why I'm making this video, to kind of talk about that. And like I said already, sound was a big thing. Lights, sudden sounds, like, he also like would be very observant of like the garbage truck. And they say like, oh, kids love like the garbage truck. And so he was always like looking at the garbage truck when it came every week. and he would line up his toys, and then he would get really upset if like when he would line them up like crayons, or he would line them up as in like, he would have them on the floor, and he would have them in the perfect straight like line, like the bottom. This is not a straight line, but he would have them like a perfect straight line like that. And he would do that to all his crayons and like all his toys and things like that. And I was just like, that's interesting. I've never like seen a kid do that. Like in all the kids that I babysat growing up and all that stuff, I never saw kids like just lining their things up. It seemed very like OCD to me, honestly. And I was just like, oh my God, does he have like OCD? Like, what is it, And his dad was kind of like that, like really, OCD and like a nervous kind of person. So I was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, maybe he's just doing characteristics like his dad, It didn't start becoming a problem with us because I just kept saying like, oh, he's a kid, kids have meltdowns, like kids like they want stuff, they like cry, and he was saying like no a lot for a little while. Like he just kept screaming like no about things. And it wasn't until he like, I always share this story where he like bit my face in the restroom once, that I was just like, oh wait, back up, like something is off here, like something is not okay, because instead of just like telling me, like he could not tell me the words because he wasn't really talking at that time. This was when he was like 1.5. He just literally decided to like bite my face, and I was like in the restroom, super vulnerable, literally using the restroom. He was in there with me. And you know how it is, like they won't leave you alone. Like they don't even let you be in like the restroom alone, or some parents don't even feel comfortable being in the restroom with their kid like outside somewhere in the house. So they bring them with them to the restroom. And yeah, so that was the moment for me that I was like, oh dude, like something's off, something's wrong. Like he literally just like attacked me, right? And it also reminded me like of my sister, because when she was that age, like, I'm a year older than my sister. So when I was like 3, 4, and she was 2, 3, like that's when I started noticing that she would bite people, and I would like tell people like, hey, be careful, like she bites people. And now she doesn't. She's good. She's an adult. But I'm just saying, like, I remember like, hey, this is something that my sister did. And I was just like, I need to like do something about this. And he would also spin around a lot in circles. Another thing that got us kind of worried is like when we would tell him like, no, don't do that, or when we would discipline him, he would like punish himself. He would like hit his own head a lot. Like he would like go like this, like a lot, and he just kept like hitting himself. And we were just like, it's okay, like you don't need to do that, you don't need to like hit yourself, like stop. So when he was around 1.5, I took him to the doctors, and I was telling him like, oh, he's not talking, like he's doing these little strange things, like spinning around, like he gets really like emotional, and when things are out of line with his toys and stuff, like I think he might have like autism, and I don't know like how to test him, and he's not talking. And they were like, oh, well, do you guys speak 2 languages? This is the thing that a lot of doctors, and I say this because they're shitty doctors, tell like people of color, because I'm obviously Latina, my dad is Mexican, my mom is Salvadorian. And so they'll tell us, or any other culture, I'm sure, whether it's Indian, Puerto Rican, Cuban, whatever other culture you are, they tell us like, oh, because you're speaking 2 different languages, you're like confusing them. So because of that, they're not sure what like language to speak, which by the way is bullshit, because a lot of people speak 2 languages. A lot of kids speak 2 languages. So for a doctor to literally tell you, oh, it's because you're speaking Spanish and English, and that's why they're having a hard time speaking to you, that's not like, it's not okay, it's not appropriate to say. And I don't even think that matters, honestly. That doesn't really seem to be any real like evidence to say that, besides like prejudice. And so he said that we need to wait till he's like 3 and just give him like till he's 3. And then until he's 3, if he still has a hard time speaking and communicating, then we can try speech therapy. So from 2 to 3, that was rough. Like, and I'm giving you guys the history all the way back because people always ask me. So I'm pulling it all the way back. So sorry, this is not like a quick video. I can make like a little Google Drive and then post it like format of like literally like this, the bullet points of the things that I've figured out and how we went about it, to make it faster. But yeah, I'm telling you guys from way back. So from 2 to 3 years old, like another thing that we did a lot was we went out a lot. And so going back to like they need to acclimate to the outside, they need to acclimate to new people, to strangers. Like, you know, when you come from a rancho or you come from a small family or who's very like just us, your kids start to feel distrustful of like other, okay, not only other people outside your family that they don't know, but like people outside the household, people of other races, of other colors, people who, you know, live different lifestyles or whatever. So one of the things that I recommend highly is to take your kid out to different social situations, like parties, like parks, like events, community, things like that. I know a lot of parents get really like, oh, I don't want anything bad to happen to them, so I would rather just keep them in the house and like not take them anywhere. The problem with that is that eventually um your kid becomes like deathly afraid of anybody else. And they don't want to like meet new people, they don't want to go to a restaurant, they don't want to because it feels overwhelming for them. And this is any kid, right? But specifically up more. Okay, so like another reason around like that age, like 2 3, you know, I would carry earmuffs when we go out in public because it would stifle the noise a little bit. So at least like he's in the room with a bunch of people, he's in the room that's really loud, like in a restaurant or something, but at least he is able to not be overwhelmed by the sound. So that's my number one thing that I noticed about Orion and his autism. Sound. Sound was really, it really affected him. Sounds of loud noises, people, like he really didn't like people who were loud. He would just be like, oh, whoa, like this person's like attacking me right now. Dogs, like we don't like dogs because they bark and they are really aggressive with him. They'll like jump on him and like, you know, just too much. And so that's why our first pet was a cat, and we got the cat when he was like 3. As actually through all this whole process of starting speech therapy, and I also had to teach him and parent him on like being nice to pets and like don't pull their tail and don't pull their ear and like don't throw them, and it's like a being that you need to respect. And so that's another thing. Whatever, if your kid's neurotypical or whatever, like you need to teach them to be respectful of other people, other beings, like no snatching, like sharing and stuff. It's kind of like hard to talk about, but yeah, kids on the spectrum have a really hard time like sharing or caring about what other people think or like where they're coming from, like where another person is coming from. So you really had to teach them how to navigate that and how to deal with social settings. So if they're overwhelmed, they're going to act worse. That's my point. And he was overwhelmed a lot with sound. So like he can't even be cool with somebody if he's overwhelmed. He can't even be chill if he's overwhelmed because it's too much for him, right? And he would like act out more. So my mom didn't believe that he was on the spectrum, but when I put like earmuffs on him and she saw the difference, like, oh, he calmed down immediately. She was just like, oh, she didn't really like that I put earmuffs on him, but I was like, Mom, just leave it. Like he's gonna be better. He's gonna act better. Just leave it. Like drop it. And so it's kind of harder with the older people, like telling you things because they might be more ashamed about it when it comes to autism than like millennials and Gen Z, because we just need to acclimate. We just need to do what needs to be done for now, I feel like, and like move on, like, okay, we're tackling these issues now so that he could get better. So like when he did the speech classes at White Memorial, he took like 12, because finally when he was 3, the doctor was like, oh, okay, now we can do the speech therapy because you're right, he's not talking. And we're like, yeah. And he was just like, okay, so we're gonna start doing the speech, White Memorial, on Thursdays for like 12 weeks. And so we had to drive from Downey to White Memorial every Thursday for like 12 weeks. And then with that, it helped more, like she really helped him play better and nicer, and really try to incorporate more communication and speech. And like she was able to tell like, oh yeah, he's like autistic. And so after the 12 weeks were over, she was like, hey, can I talk to you? I was like, sure. She goes, okay, I think your son is like on the spectrum. I was like, yeah, girl, we've been saying that. I've been saying that. Yes, like that's why I'm here. And she's like, okay, so I'm going to recommend you to do an IEP in his school, the school that he's assigned to in the district. And I was like, okay, perfect. So we went to the district. At the time I moved to Bellflower. And so there the district took us to the school, which was kind of like farther out than the elementary schools nearby, but they had like a better program, and they had the special education. They had the things that he needed to take the test. So they had the qualifications and all that. So we took the IEP test, and then they gave me the test, which is like 100 questions, which was like, can he jump? Can he skip? Can he hold things? How does he act? Like, how does he play well with others? Like, it was literally 100 questions of like different aspects of his behavior, his abilities, his capabilities. Can he throw a ball? Can he catch a ball? Can he jump rope? Like, can he rock climb? Can he, how does he play with others? Is he very like, does he keep to himself, or does he, is he really social? Like, does he try to play with others, and like things like that. So I took the test, and then they had him take a math, like a English, like picture book, like, okay, do you know what this is? The letters, the colors, like the numbers, like where was he at, because he was 3. And a lot of parents like don't even really teach that stuff at home. So they need to know like where your kid is at during IEP, which is like the school. So you get I got the IEP through the request of the speech therapist. And so that's the thing. Some people get the IEP, I think, through the request of a doctor, or and the IEP is a test that they have for kids to find out if they're on the spectrum or whatever needs that they have, when it comes to academics and social. But it needs to be requested by somebody. So, and the IEP is not the, hold on a second, I'm losing the word. It's not the diagnosis. So the IEP is not the diagnosis. It's just trying to figure out like, oh, what needs does he have, that we can fulfill when it comes to speech and when it comes to academically and stuff like that. And so since he was so young, because we caught it so early, we were able to already give him like the therapy that he needs. And so now at 4 to 9, a lot of people are just like, oh, like he doesn't seem like to be on the spectrum at all. Like he seems so normal. Like he's so smart and like easy to get along with and stuff like that. And I'm like, thank you for saying that, because this is a really long journey. This is like a really, 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 really long journey. And so another thing that really helped during the time where he was taking speech classes is that I met this lady. Her name was Kelly, and she actually recommended, because her kid had he was on the spectrum, and she recommended probiotics. So she was saying that there's a connection between like probiotics and your kid's brain. So like the good bacteria and the yeast in their stomach correlates directly to your brain. So they call the stomach like the second brain. And so because of this connection, um, if your kid is not eating things, or if they're missing some sort of like vitamins, or it's gonna affect like the way their brain functions. So the hitting his head and spinning around was because of the pressure in his head felt like so much pressure that spinning around helped him. So in her scenario, her kid was really severe on the spectrum, because Orion is like not really that severe, but her kid would bang his head on the wall and like literally like cracked his head open. And she was so desperate. She was telling me, she was so desperate that, and I met her through massage as a client. So she was my client. I went to her house. I'm a massage therapist. I do mobile massage in Los Angeles. And so as we were talking and I saw her son and I saw his scar like on his head, and she had told me like that's what happened and she needed help, and she was trying to ask the doctors, and they were like not getting it, that she was like Asian. And so they were also blaming like the whole language thing, and they were saying like, oh, like, you know, they were like, he's fine, he's gonna grow out of it. And she's like, no, he's not growing out of it. Like, this is like really bad. He's self-harming, to the point that he's like hurting really bad, like himself. So um I know I said it like twice, but that just goes to show like how desperate she was when she was talking to me about it. And finally, she, through her own research and talking to people and like gathering information, she was able to say, oh, he's on the spectrum and he needs help, and he needs his diet needs to be changed. And a lot of people believe that when they changed the diet of their kid acted better, less spinning, for example, less outbursts, like, just calm down more. And then they were even able to speak, or their behavior changed so drastically after they changed the food. So that's thing number 3. So for us was food. So food, adding probiotics, eating yogurt, um, being able to, so the first thing was sound, noticing that his sound was like, sounds were throwing him off, going to the doctor and getting speech therapy. And then food. Oh, and then going out, right? Like I said, like getting them used to social settings. But food is a big thing. So like cheese, milk is actually um causes a lot of inflammation and swelling, and especially if a lot of people are lactose intolerant. And but Orion, we finds out he is at a very low grade level. So with him, we had to be careful, like, so we had to give him more probiotics, less cheesy stuff, less like milk. Like, I don't feed him milk in my house. And and so, excuse me, um it really helped when I did that, when I added those things. And then she even gave me, so she does she does a Facebook group called TACA, TACA, Hope and Help for Autism Families. And so on her Facebook group, she talks about probiotics and how helpful it is for your kids to get the right nutrition. And so she offered us this really strong probiotic, and I gave it to him. Like, it tasted really horrible, but I gave it to him like 1 spoon a day, and he literally stopped spinning around. He stopped giving outbursts. Like, he was more chill. Like, he was more rested at night. Like, it was just easier for us, and there was a lot of big changes. And so that really helped. Another thing I learned along the path through Orion's autistic journey was that uh, adrenaline really makes a difference. So like when when I took him to like um the Ferris wheel, or I took him to Knott's Berry Farm when he turned, I think he was 4. We took him to Knott's Berry Farm, and then literally after that he started talking more. So like they say that for him being on the roller coaster, and they say that uh oh my god, I'm like blinking out again. The adrenaline that they feel during the roller coaster helps spark up a lot of the pathways in their brain. So um doing that every now and then, incorporating like, oh, us doing fun things outside, hiking, walking, going to the beach, learning how to roller skate. He's been knowing how to roller skate since he was 3. Like being part of the kitchen, helping me cook, helping me clean, helping me sweep up, helping me put his stuff away, like being more active in his life, parenting, doing things together, going outside, enjoying life outside of the house. um, we were able to build more and more experiences so that he can feel, connected, and we have that connection. So even though he's on the spectrum, I never felt like it was an inhibitor. I never felt like it was something that was going to stop him from achieving. I never felt like, oh, like he's disabled. Like I never thought that he's not. Like he can do things. Like he can, he likes to do things, a lot of things that a lot of kids don't even have the balls to do. So he's really good at math, and he knows his alphabet, and he um can write, and he cooks with me, and he cleans with me. Like he's very active. It's just the social skills of like connecting with others, learning the rules, playing nice. Like right now we're going through like being a sore loser and stuff like that. And so I'm sharing this video to be like, you know what, there is a way, especially because you have the resources, because there is, the school, you can ask the school for help, you can get speech therapy. Like there are ways that you can help your child get through this so that you can get through this as a family, so you can feel like it's not something you're just dealing with, it's something that you're both going through together, so that we can have progress in the future. Now they do say some kids, autistic kids, like when it comes to learning, they plateau or they decline or things like that. And I do feel like as a parent, you do have to get involved a lot, and you do have to really want to do better. You really want to get through this and fix and build, right? And teach, not fix, but like teach the skills that they need for the future, because they can't always like depend on you for stuff, like he's very hands-on, luckily for me. So he likes swimming, he likes going to the beach, he likes riding the bicycle, he likes trying new things like his scooter, and he likes going to the skate park, and he likes being active. So it's just finding out what he likes to do and like do it with him, but not just be on the screen, not just watch movies, not just sing and dance, but like outside the house, and then little by little with people outside the house, like family members and parties and public and school. And the earlier you see these things, the earlier you do something about it, the earlier you act, the better. And so yeah, I just wanted to kind of put that out there. So we did, just as a recap, I noticed things were off since he was like 1. We went to the doctor. The doctor allowed us to go to speech therapy when he was 3. At 3, we went to speech therapy for 12 weeks at White Memorial. They gave us the permission to get the IEP. He has still not gotten a diagnosis or anything like that, because we still haven't gotten him tested for a diagnosis. We just have the IEP. So with the IEP in school, they were able to do, a special ed program, and they were able to give him more help and resources in school. And then since 3, so TK, and then preschool, and then kindergarten is when the pandemic happened. So it was online school, and that was really difficult for a lot of us parents. And that was only like 3-4 hours a day, and nothing really like went through, And now we're feeling the effects. Now we're feeling the effects of that time, because the foundation that kindergarten teaches kids when it comes to reading and writing and comprehension are not really there, because they were just on the computer, and like, what's that going to teach them? So with that, something that we're dealing now, and we read with him at night, and we play with him and things like that. And we now like to talk about like, hey, what did we do today? How was it? Like, how did you feel? Like, what you think about this? What you think about that? Like, oh, that was fun. That was cool. That was kind of annoying, like, this is our day, right? We even would write down, like, I would write down, like, today we went to the beach. This is when he was like 3.5. And I had like a little book, what to write down with him, like, and then he would read the story back to me, and we would read it together, because that's like just giving him structure in his talking, because he does have echolalia too. So echolalia was another thing, the reason that we also found out he was autistic, where he would and I know I'm going back and forth, but echolalia is echoing back things that he was hearing, so in movies, phrases, he would act them out, he would tell them to us, and it was like cute, because he was like remembering little phrases and stuff from like movies that we watched, like Rio, like Toy Story, like The Croods, like things like that, little scenes. But and then he wasn't saying his own sentence, like he wasn't saying his own thing, like I always hear people complaining that kids talk a lot, and I was like, my kid doesn't talk like at all. I wish I had that problem, because he didn't talk at all. Like, that was the thing that we had to deal with, which was getting him to talk. And so boys have also a hard time talking as adults, right? But they also do as kids, and you need to teach them earlier the better, that it's okay to talk, it's okay to express yourself, it's okay to, ask for things. And to help them with their critical things with Legos, and we make things with clay, like we do projects together. I fix things with him. I tell him like, oh, I have this problem, I need to put up the shelf, can you help me hold this up? And so with that, you start incorporating your kid. I incorporated him into like my actual, these are the things I have to do. And I feel like parents don't notice when their kids are on the spectrum, or they feel like their kid's not old enough to help them, even if they're not on the spectrum. So incorporating your kid to things that you're doing is really, really good. I think that that's helped us a lot, and brought us to where we are now, with the success that we are now. In the IEP, every year at school, we have a meeting with his speech therapist, his academics counselor, with his teacher, and we talk about the progress and the things and the goals that we're working on for the next year ahead. And so the IEP is all his like resource, like his community help connecting and seeing like, oh, well, I've seen this, I've seen that, he needs help with this or that, right? Which beforehand was more technical. He needed help with what, when, where, how, who, he needed help 1 to 10, 10 to 20, the alphabets, like these were like different examples of his goals. And that's what the IEP is. Like, you're putting down these goals so that your kid can meet, so that the next year they could progress, and they could progress, and they could progress. And so that's where we're at now. Today, I just had the IEP today, and at his school, and it was fresh on my mind, which is why I wanted to share, like, the journey before now, like how we got to now, because he's 9, he'll be 10 this year. And so it's kind of like, oh, a decade's worth of like things that we went through, things, how we went about this evolution of him and his success, and to celebrate him, from like hitting himself, spinning in circles, to like, he's so calm and like chill now, like if I ask him to do something, he does it. Like if I ask him to vacuum, if I need help with the backyard, he helps me. And so because I've always allowed him to be part of the household, and there was some pushback, like, the kids, boys particularly, start to see that's girl stuff. He told me that once, like when he was like 7, like that's girl things, so like clean and stuff like that. And you do kind of have to push it back a little bit when it's like your son, because he has to learn that this is not just girl stuff. Like house stuff is everybody's stuff. And if you live in the house, everybody needs to be a part of the house. It can't be just me doing everything. It has to be us, because we're in the house together. So that's a big thing that I realized that I've had to like push back on and be like, no, like I'm not just the person who does everything. You live here too, and you need to be part of the household. And so I would hope that one day he would know, as an adult, as a husband or whatever, that he needs to do that. That he needs to like keep that in mind, because it starts young, ladies. It starts young. And so that was part of also his growth and helping him become more involved in his stuff. Now we're at like, okay, he needs to feel like comfortable sharing his things, communicating. Like he still has like issues where he needs to pee, but he won't say it. If he's hungry, he won't say it. He just waits till like he's literally starving, or he needs, he's already using the restroom in his pants, so he runs off. And so what I do is like every 2 hours, I'll be like, okay, let's go to the restroom when we're out and about. And then he'll be like, no, I don't need to go. I don't need to go. I'm like, no, come on, you're coming with me. Like, you're coming with me. Next thing you know, he goes to the restroom. So a lot of times it's not even that he doesn't need to go. He just doesn't want to go. And it's like, yeah, but you need to. So come on, we have to go to the restroom. And I know that's kind of like TMI, but I'm just saying, with that, there are delays sometimes with kids with autism. And the delay is his brain telling him, hey, go to the restroom. Hey, you're hungry. You're getting hungry, or you're gonna need to use the restroom. And so that's something that I incorporate as a parent into our daily things. Like, hey, have you used the restroom? Go to the restroom. When you come home from school, go to the restroom. When he wakes up in the morning, go to the restroom. When we go out, we get to a place, hey, let's go use the restroom. When we go in the movie, before the movie, after the movie, like, like just so that kind of stuff doesn't happen. Since Orion is not that severe, this isn't a video about like how to deal with severity in autism. And I know that's like a big thing. I know a lot of people go through that. My heart goes out to you, because that's tough. But what I'm saying is like the energy that he had that kind of seemed severe, like really crazy, I would divert it into action-based things. Helping me cook, helping me clean, going to the park, helping me wash the car, helping me dry the car, vacuuming, like cutting up potatoes with, at 2 years old, helping me flip a pancake, at 1 years old, while I'm holding on to him, I'm just showing him the motion of flipping a pancake, involving your kid, whether he's on the spectrum or not, but especially if he's on the spectrum, involving them with the things at home, because and then not only do they feel closer to you, but they also feel like, okay, I can do things. Like I am very, like the teacher was saying today, he's very proud. He's very proud. He knows that he can do a lot of things, and he's very proud of that. And I was like, yeah, we can do a lot of things. Like, yeah, we don't have an issue with that. I was even like, is that a problem with some people? And she was just kind of like, no, yeah, he's very good. He's very hardworking. He does whatever he needs to do at school. And showing him how to roller skate at 3 years old, it wasn't my decision. Like a lot of things that I do for my son, it's because he initiated, like, I want to do this. I want to learn. Like, I want to be with you. I want to cook with you. I want to see what you're doing. What are you up to? And like, because he was around me all the time, I allowed him into my space. And I know a lot of Latinos, like moms and grandmas, they're just like, stay out of the kitchen, get out of my way. Like, you don't need to be here. Like, go do something else, go play or something. But kids need that. They need to feel needed, and they need to feel like, oh, I can do it too. Because if you're just telling them to like go away, they're gonna feel like, oh, like I'm not needed, I'm not helpful, like what am I good for, kind of thing. And that inhibits their confidence, I've noticed. And then my kid, he is very like prideful, and he's very good at a lot of things because we incorporated that at a young age. So the food thing's very important. I'm gonna say that again. And oh, and then the adrenaline, taking him out to like things that are scary. But for us, roller coasters aren't scary. For us, even like he's even done like zip lining, like he loves doing all that stuff. And because I love doing it, I'm like, oh, okay, like he can do it too. So there's no real like fear for me as a mom, as a parent with him, because I know that it's okay, it's he's safe, it's all right. You know, who are nervous Nellies, who have OCD, who don't like going outside, who are not very social themselves, like, yeah, it's going to manifest in your kid. You're going to see that your kid's not going to want to go outside. Their kid's going to be scared to do things. Your kid's going to, you know, not want to do things with other kids or family members or whatever, because they're now scared, like as a parent. So especially like with kids on autism, because they're very sensitive. So that's the other thing. Or sensory autism is about your senses. It's about taste, sound, feel. Like one of the things that also was interesting is that, you know, the tags, he would cut them out himself, because he would get bothered by tags. So he would start getting scissors and then cutting them after watching me do it. And he would just get the scissors himself and be cutting his own tags. Sensation, like clothing, like certain textures, like autistic kids, like they're very sensitive to physical things, you know. So as a massage therapist, it also helps him when I massage him, you know, gently. And actually the other day I was showing him how to foam roll with me, and he could see he was visibly relaxed after. So like even that, like yoga, stretching, like he would always be next to me when I did that stuff too, or he would climb on me. And so now I have him do it with me, like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do foam rolling. So now he's doing that with me. I know this can sound like a lot, but being a parent is a lot. It's a lot. You have to be involved. Like, and I'm a co-parent. So he's only with me half the week, you know, Sunday through Thursday. So the days that I have him, I want to make sure that I'm having like a good time with him, you know, I'm enjoying my time with him, and I'm being purposeful on the things that we do together and the things that we learn. He loves baking. Oh my God, that's another big thing that I love about him, is that through baking, through following recipes step by step and putting them in the oven, and you know, we made cakes, cookies, ginger snaps, um, cupcakes. Like we've made all. We learned this last year, pumpkin pie, how to make pumpkin pie. So we looked it up online. We got the stuff, and we made pumpkin pie at home after watching like a couple YouTube videos. So like, you know, doing the things your kid likes, and being a part of that, you know. And we often, you know, think about like movies, and we watch movies together, and um like Netflix and anime, and we love watching Naruto, we love watching like Disney movies. We went to Disneyland earlier this year through a friend. Oh, thank you, Ashley. Like because she hooked it up. She took us to Disney, and we had such a good time. And then it was kind of funny because you know how like when a ride is coming up, he kind of like went around a pole near, like, you know, like 5 feet away from where the ride was at. And my friend right away was like, oh my God, stay over here. And then I was like, oh, he's not gonna go over there, like he's gonna stay right here, like near us. It's just like, oh, you never know, because kids, like, they'll literally go all the way over there. And I was even wondering, like, is she saying that because he's on the spectrum? Because he's fine. He's fine, like he's good, like because we went hiking a lot, I think, and I think because we went on like 3 mile hikes, 2 mile hikes when he was like 2 and 3 during the pandemic. um we stick together, you know, like he doesn't get too far away from me, and he doesn't like go so far that I can't like see him or hear him, or he can't see me, you know. He's not like at my titty either. He's like a good 10, 15 feet away, at most 20, but we trust each other. So I trust him, he trusts me. Like if he were to slip or anything, like I grab him. If he's thirsty or hungry, we take a break, we eat something. So it created like a relationship that I can ask him to, hey, with this, or hey, can you do that, or hey, can you get me water, or hey, we have to do laundry today. And there's no real like pushback, because we've always done things together and we've created a relationship together. And you're able to do that even if your kid's on the spectrum, because if you start early and you notice early, you're able to be there more for them. Yeah, I think that's it for today. That's all I wanted to talk about. I hope it made sense a little bit. Ooh, I know it was a lot of back and forth, but thank you for being here. Thanks for watching this video. Yeah, so I hope this helped you in any way. I would definitely suggest, if you think your child is in the autistic on the spectrum, or they're autistic, not really functioning, like not too much, but functioning, high functioning, go to your doctor and like tell them like, hey, we're having these issues. They're not really talking. They're doing this, they're doing that, hitting their head, spinning around, like, you know, outbursts, or they get really nervous when they go out in public, or, what can we do? Like, how can we get them tested? Whether behavior therapist, they can go to speech therapy, they can go to cognitive therapy, that they could go. And the great thing about this country is that you can do it through insurance, and you could do it through the doctor, and you can get the help, you could get the resources. Now, specifically under 5, the better, because I've also met parents who their kid was like 12 when they noticed that they were on the spectrum. And the only reason it took so long noticing that their kid was on the spectrum was because they were working so much and their kid was at daycare. And so because their kid was in daycare all day, they didn't have time to attend to their kid or pay attention or to notice that they were having these issues, and it wasn't until the kid was like 12 that they finally realized, like, oh, he's on the spectrum, because he's being so combative at 12. They're being so difficult now. Now it's like, oh, okay, like what's going on with attention? Your kid was in daycare. And so because your kid was in daycare, like you didn't notice, I'm sorry, you didn't notice. Like, you didn't notice that descuidaste, like you didn't watch them. And so when that's the risk that you're taking when you leave your kids in daycare, when you leave your kids in the care of someone like grandma, auntie, cousin, whatever, besides like the danger aspect of like, oh, someone can, not take care of them as good as you. There's also like these issues that fall through the cracks. And so yeah, paying attention is like number one thing, number one key. Paying attention, like when they're in situations and it's hot water, cold water, what do they feel more comfortable with? Like sensation, like, oh, when we bathed him, he was like screaming and crying like bloody murder when I washed his hair, because he hated it. He hated the sensation of someone touching his face or like in his hair. And it was like a whole thing. And I realized over time, okay, it's better to give him a bath with an Epsom salt to help him relax, settle down, chill out a little bit. So like every week he has like an Epsom salt bath, so that he can kind of like also release, any like energy. And it's hard being a kid, like it's a lot, so I definitely recommend that too. Like if you're a parent and you have a kid, it's kind of like jumping off the wall sometimes, throw them in the bathtub, put in some Epsom salt. I even turn off the lights, I turn on candles for him, like it's all like chill mode, and so things like that I have to incorporate. I'll definitely write that down. So hopefully that's helpful for anyone. And if you guys have any questions or anything like that, let me know. That was our journey. Once he started getting the IEP and going to school, like we saw so much more progress. We had so much more help, so much hands on deck, and recommendations, like things that we can do, how we can, one of the things how we can deal with him was like when he did good, I was like, yay, good, congratulations, amazing. And like he didn't like that. He would get upset. He would be like, no. And so when I asked the counselor, what can I do? Because I'm trying to show him that I approve, or like I think it's good, like he did a good job, but he's not letting me. And they're like, okay, we'll just go like this. Just go like that. Instead of making it like a verbal praise, just be like. And so since he was 3, that was super helpful, because when he did something that I was like, oh my God, that was great, I was just like, there you go. And now it's just like, good job, buddy. Like they get so sensitive about things. And so because he's so sensitive about like everyone around him, he wasn't sure, he'll get overwhelmed by me just being good job, like in his face. So instead I just had to be quiet, smile, and I would see his eyes. He would look at my hand, and then he would look at my face, and then look at my hand, and then he'll be like, cool. Or he'll go back to me, thumbs up. So yeah, it's been really helpful. Like, I'm really glad that the IEP is a thing. I'm really happy that we're able to take these resources and use them for the betterment of our child. A lot. We got him, probiotics, gummies, yogurt, milk, lactate, like replacing milk with lactate instead, or like soy milk. We drink almond milk now. We don't really eat cheese unless it's like on a pizza or something. Like I used to give him cheese sticks like every day, but now I stopped because I noticed like, oh, I think he's actually like a little lactose intolerant with like this kind of cheese too, not just like milk. Because it's like different forms, so sometimes it also makes a difference even though it's still all milk. And so yeah, so there, I just want this video to bring hope. And I know we've been there, a lot of us have been there, a lot of parents have been there. It's like hard, it's difficult, it's like, it's also kind of frustrating, because if you didn't have these issues, you didn't see them growing up, like your sister wasn't like this, your brother wasn't like this, you were like, why is my kid like this? And sometimes like it took us a while, but I realized like, oh dude, like I'm pretty sure I'm on the spectrum, like I'm pretty sure like I have something like that, because all the questions that I took, like the 100 questions, does he do this? Does he do that? Like, how does he act? I was just like, oh, I do that. I get overwhelmed. Like, I don't like being at a party with a bunch of strangers for too long. Like, when my mom would take us to like quinceañeras and stuff, I was like, yo, I need to like go. Like, I cannot deal. So I would go in the car and they would still be at the party. And I liked the car because it was quiet and there was less people, less lights, less things going on. And like as a woman, you get a lot of attention anyway, because as a woman, a lot of people pay attention to you, especially as a child, teenager, preteen. And so for me, I thought it was because I'm a woman kind of thing. Maybe that's why. But now I'm realizing, oh no, like I am probably autistic and nobody noticed, because I had such a big family and so many people supporting me as a kid that I was talking really fast. Like I was engaging, I was high functioning as well. So like my dad too, like to my dad, I realized like, oh, my dad's probably on the spectrum. My mom, ACD, my mom's anxious, like and those kind of nerves, you it's like nobody's fault, but through the generational trauma of circumstances of the way you grew up, it happens, right? It happens. So that's all I have for today. Hope this helped. Please subscribe, follow Instagram, YouTube, and yeah, I hope this helped anybody. My name is Aileen, and I just want to give you guys hope. Taka, T-A, I think C-A, Hope and Help for Autism by Kelly Steffens is really great. So